2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Yo, what's the deal, Panther fans? It's a dub. Third dub in a row makes it a streak. 23-16, the Panthers go on the road and beat the Falcons for the first time in Atlanta since 2014. I think I saw that. They flashed that up on the screen. I know that Atlanta has won 8 out of the last 9, make it 8 out of the last 10, but the Panthers have won the first one since 2017. All those numbers swirling around in my head, and all I can say is, man, this Panthers team is just sound all around right now. They're playing well on defense. Mike Davis is a mean man who delivered the pink slip to Dan Quinn today, likely. And the Carolina Panthers continue to roll and get better from week to week. And the Falcons continue to suck. It's the C3 Panthers post-game show, and we want you to be a part of it. The number's 252-228-5098. My man Cody Lashley in the house. How you doing?
Tony Dunn, what's going on, man? We're doing another post-game show, man. Panthers are surprising everybody. They're looking like a well-coached football team. They seem to have found that specific juice that's specific to them. They know how to operate the offense well. The defense is looking better and better. There's a lot to like, man. And as always, we're going to react with the best Panther fans in all of YouTube. Jeremy Clancy, Underground West, Mr. Froth, Tin Tizzy, Josh J. Dub Dubrelli, what's going on with you, bro? Mike Vela, Joe Riolano, even Brandon Herbert. Hey, man, ain't nothing to it but to do it, Tony Dunn. Let's roll.
Lots of fans in the chat room already excited about this. It's a Steve Berline jersey, by the way, just as a heads up. Throwback jersey. And CK's in the house. What's up, Cody?
You know, doing good. Watching this game, and you can't help but smile when you see Mike Davis just truck over 17 guys every play that he gets the ball. Like, it'd be different if it was like one play a game, maybe two. Like he is doing what Marshawn Lynch did, but I feel like even more consistently, you know, against these defenders, man. He is incredibly strong with his runs. And, man, I'm sitting there watching, and I just can't help but laugh while he's running over these guys, just thinking, what do we have in this running back right now?
Yeah, I just put up a clip of the video of him where he catches that little screen pass, and you go, oh, man, the guy is going to – it was right after DJ Moore made that great play and ran out of bounds. So he caught the ball, gets the first down, and then just goes directly out of bounds to preserve the clock we needed. And then Mike Davis gets the ball in the middle of the field, and you're like, man, we're going to have to call a timeout here. No, this mug trucks like 7 dudes and then still gets out of bounds. Like, it was crazy. He carried the load for this team. And honestly, let's just go ahead and say it. He carried the load today. Not that anybody else was bad or good or exceptional. Mike Davis was the most exceptional player on the field today, in my opinion. Greg, the Stat Daddy in the house, Man of Many Podcast, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, sir. Always a good time to be here. And, touching on what y'all were saying, the Mike Davis thing is definitely something we need to bring up tonight this afternoon, because, I wonder, I question the offensive line, and I question the not necessarily the talent of Christian McCaffrey, because I still think he's the most talented running back in the NFL, but how much better does this make our offensive line look that we have a no-name guy, Mike Davis, coming in and running the ball well and good protection with Teddy Bridgewater. It's a big issue to talk about tonight, so I'm ready to do it.
A lot of good things to say about this offensive line 2 weeks in a row. Russell Okung coming back, playing well. In fact, Russell Okung had a carry today. He carried Curtis Samuel one time for like 6 yards. And that was an awesome play as well. We want you to be a part of the longest running Panthers podcast. We're live on Tuesday nights. That's the long form podcast. But after the games, we're here, and you can be a part of the show by calling in at 252-228-5098. Go ahead and smack that thumbs up button. Smack it. Smack it like we smacked the damn Falcons around today, right? Smash it like Mike Davis smashed it down their throat today. Go ahead and subscribe to the C3 Panthers podcast. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the game. I'm waiting for the NFL game book to come up. It is slow. That's usually up immediately. The Panthers win 23-16. Teddy Bridgewater goes 27 for 37 with 313 yards and 2 touchdowns today. Mike Davis had 89 rushing yards and tacked on another 60 receiving yards. And I would go ahead and say this. Robby Anderson had a quiet 112 yards. 8 catches, 112 yards. He is the leading receiver in Panthers history through 5 games right now. Right? Like, nobody has had better numbers than him. And Robby Anderson could have had 11 catches today for 150, and that's with no deep ball, homie.
Does it seem like he kind of quietly has a good game every game so far?
He's had a great game every week.
Very quietly,
Yeah.
Like you said, it's insane. Like, I don't even think about it. I look up, and all of a sudden, he's over 100 yards or close to it, and I'm like, wow.
Well, let me say this. Before the season, we all knew and felt like one of the better aspects of this football team was going to be our receiving core. And, man, I'll be damned if we weren't right. Like, they are showing out, man. I think I forget the guy's name. One of the commentators for the game today made it a point, and he said that the coaching staff feels that they have 2 number 1 wide receivers. And I think that he was right in saying that, and I think our coaches are right in believing that. I think that DJ Moore truly is special. When he was drafted, his yards after the catch ability on film from Maryland was incredible. And he's done nothing but improve on that year after year after year and become a better route runner. And DJ could have even had a bigger game today than what his stat line would have you believe. And then you have Robby Anderson. And listen, I criticize Teddy Bridgewater for not being an aggressive passer, but whenever he does have to get aggressive, you can trust it's going to Robby Anderson. And how about this, man? You can trust he's coming down with it. He had a beautiful one-handed catch along the sideline today, and he just made a play on the football. The DB was in tight coverage. It was just a great play. I think this receiving core for the Carolina Panthers is legitimate. And now you're seeing what happens when you have a good offensive coordinator that can really scheme those weapons into advantageous matchups.
There are some strange parts about this game, right? This passing game, with how dynamic we think it could be, is that DJ Moore, even though he had 4 catches for 93 yards today, he took that one to the house. It was like a 3-yard pass, and he took it to the house. Curtis Samuel's actually been more involved than DJ Moore, it seemed like, in this game, despite that one big pass. And again, the Panthers cannot get a tight end involved in the game plan at all. Why are these? It's just kind of a strain. While it's being successful, and it is successful, Robby Anderson being a possession receiver, Curtis Samuel being a running back and a short yardage receiver, and DJ Moore really not being involved is not what we would have scripted out 3 months ago.
No. Well, I mean, what I'm going to say about that is I think it's less to do with DJ Moore. And that the one play we're going to play that just kind of puts almost a button on the, Teddy Bridgewater's. And people want to say that we're saying Teddy Bridgewater sucks. I don't think anybody on this panel has said that he sucks.
Never.
We just don't want him to be our long-term answer in Carolina is the issue. And so because we don't believe he is the person who's going to get us over that hill of the Super Bowl. But nonetheless, let's take that out of the equation. That one pass where it was man coverage or for whatever, there was a blitz coming from the left side. Teddy Bridgewater literally looked at one receiver and one receiver only. And much to the dismay of our stat line, he had a wide open DJ Moore to the left. Now, people want to claim that he was being pressured. You can't, he was just trying to get the ball out quick. He didn't even know the pressure was coming. The pressure was coming from a blind side that he didn't even know was there. He had his eyes on Robby Anderson the entire time. So, nonetheless, like I said, I think that Teddy Bridgewater did a very good job of being efficient, distributing the ball. But I think it's more to say about how much our team wants us. I'm gonna say maybe something that's controversial. We wouldn't have won today without Curtis Samuel. And I'll tell you why. He caught the third down conversions. He was always in the backfield, and nobody wants to give him credit. They finally did on the broadcast eventually. He was the only reason DJ Moore got that touchdown. Because he was down.
Oh yeah, he did throw a nice block there. I do think that DJ's part of the problem. And when I say part of the problem is I don't think he's been playing with a lot of confidence this season. He has struggled. We've put him in some tough places. And when I say that is that he's had to make some tough catches in these slant routes where he's going to get blasted. And he hasn't really done it, right? And then oh, gosh. Brandon Herbert, will you just settle down for a second? Take a damn Valium and chill out, homie, before you say you don't know football and this and that. We all watched it, man. Don't worry. Sorry. Distracted, man. Just take a chill pill.
I'm about to tag him on Twitter.
But the point that I'm trying to make is this, is that DJ has not necessarily been playing with the greatest confidence. And I don't know if that's part him playing poorly, part us not putting him in great situations or whatever it may be. Robby Anderson has been playing with great confidence. I thought that touchdown pass today where we get DJ involved, Curtis Samuel does make an important block down the field there, or at least opens the space up. That's very important for getting DJ in a headspace where he can get better from week to week, because if we can start getting him the ball in open space more, then you expect things to happen, right? Now, Teddy, for us people that don't know anything about football, Brandon Herbert, here is Teddy Bridgewater's first half stat line, which was the second most in Panthers history. Oh, by the way, for us that don't know anything about football, I'm wearing a Steve Berline jersey. The guy that did it the most was Steve Berline, and that was versus the 49ers, and that was like 25 years ago. But
you don't know football, Tony.
261 passing yards by Teddy Bridgewater in the first half is the most in the first half this season in the NFL. Second most passing yards in the first half by any Panthers in QB history. So Teddy he didn't turn the ball over today. He had 2 passing touchdowns, and I think the play calling continued to be just right on the money. I will say, though, is that Teddy did not have or demonstrate the ability to push the ball down the field. And if he can't do it, then that's fine. We just have to admit it. Right? I mean, or we don't even have to admit it. Is that I think that the Panthers staff has admitted it. There's a couple of things that are going on. Either the offensive line is so bad that we can't get deep balls into the mix, which I don't believe that since they have played very well in the last 2 weeks, right? B, that the looks have not been there, or C, that we're not really trying to cultivate that game because it's not necessarily the strength of our team. And if that's the case, then you tell me this, that Robby Anderson, Curtis Samuel, and DJ Moore aren't deep threats, or Teddy isn't a deep threat. I'm just sorry. Hey, I don't want to sit them. I want them to keep winning. But I just saw this is the Panthers' offense is going to try to win a different way. And it worked. It's worked 2 weeks in a row now.
And by the way, can I just add on to that it's a method that has literally won Super Bowls and have Super Bowl producing teams. I mean, honestly, I think our offense looks like it reminds me a lot of the 49ers last year. And I've always said that we want Teddy Bridgewater to basically be Jimmy Garoppolo, and that's a high-level game manager. I feel like I know that's who Teddy Bridgewater is, and the problem is that's fine. If you say that, people automatically, aka Brandon Herbert, think that you're saying Teddy Bridgewater sucks. No one is saying Teddy Bridgewater sucks. Teddy Bridgewater is operating this offense very efficiently. He's getting the ball in the hands of his playmakers. They're not asking him to do a whole lot because we don't need to do a whole lot. DJ Moore and Robby Anderson and Curtis Samuel, and now add Mike Davis to that. We have a dynamic group of weapons. You even saw Ian Thomas start to get involved a little bit in the action, sparingly. But
no, he didn't even have a catch. He dropped it, dude.
Didn't he? Oh, that is right. He did drop that.
Didn't have a catch.
Okay,
the tight end.
Yeah.
I think, again, as we look at these plays and the way they're being called, maybe it tells us a little bit about our personnel and what we think our strengths are. And right now, we don't think tight end is a strength. We don't think that Teddy Bridgewater going deep is the strength, but instead spreading them out, creating holes that way.
Right, but I also think it's because they want that shifty nature to our offense. This offense is built on yards after catch. Guys that are going to make moves with the ball in their hand and be able to juke a guy out of his shoes and make a play. And I think that's why you don't see a lot of tight ends. I think as the years go on and as we see a little more of Joe Brady, you'll probably see new facets and new wrinkles to this offense that we might not have with this personnel right now.
Yeah. Well, to what you're saying right there, Cody, about this offense is made for yards after catch, doesn't that kind of demoralize the enormous amounts of yards we see from Teddy Bridgewater every week? I mean, granted, he's making the throws, but if you make a 10-yard pass and you get 90 yards out of it, is that really the quarterback throwing the ball earning 90 yards?
Well, yeah, and honestly, that's why the stats do look good for Teddy. There aren't a whole bunch of force it plays where he's forcing it into tight windows or throwing it deep down the field. And yeah, that does count for yards for Teddy Bridgewater when DJ Moore takes it 57 yards and takes it to the house. And right. Again, like people hear that and they think, oh, these dudes hate Teddy Bridgewater. No, we're telling you what actually is, and we're telling you what our coaches know this team to be because they're calling plays that leads us to continue to believe these things, and it's working.
It's just like whenever you have a rushing quarterback who rushes for 115 yards in a game, and everybody says, "Oh, well, he only threw for 150." Yeah, but he rushed for 115. So if you're going to give him the credit for the yards the receivers earned, why don't you give him the credit for the yards they ran?
Yeah. And I want to say this. I want to say this whole Brandon Herbert argument in the chat room, parallel, should I say, between Tom Brady is a big turd argument, Brandon. First of all, you're comparing a 43-year-old quarterback to a 26-year-old quarterback. Second of all, Tom Brady didn't just happen to throw 23 touchdowns to Randy Moss in 2007, 11 more in 2008, and another 13 more in 2009, which for a combined, 3,800 yards to one receiver. Or whatever, like some crazy shit. He had 14. Come on, a long 74, long 46, long 62. Come on, man. Is that this? Is that it's not? Look, Teddy's game resembles an Alex Smith type game to me a little bit.
Yes, absolutely.
But that's what I mean.
That's why I talk about it. I mean, Alex Smith is the nice kid you bring home to your parents, but do you end up marrying him? Like, I mean, or no?
Actually, that's kind of who you do marriage. You just want to.
That's who you're supposed to. But he's not. No, what I mean is something different. Anyway, but no, he's just like, he gets the job done, but he doesn't ever get you there, right? Like, you may marry him, but at the end of the day, you're going to end up divorced because he's not satisfying your needs, right?
Well, yeah. And here's my honest opinion. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree, and I'm sure I'll get crap for this too. I think that the teams that we beat have also had a lot to do with it. But once we start, and you know what? I even like our chances against Chicago.
Hell
right
yeah.
now, I would
We're about to win 4 in a row.
I would have us favored against Chicago right now. I'm picking us to beat the Bears. My problem is we have to avoid getting into shootouts. Now, there's a good.
That's the case. That is certainly the case, and we were able to do that today.
Right, and that's why I'm saying it is hopeful. And one of the things I feel like we haven't touched on enough right now is I feel like the defense continues to play better in situational football. Like, they'll bend and break a little bit, but for the most part, like, the defense came up when plays needed to be had. And I feel like you're finally starting to see what Phil Snow's vision for this defense is. And it's just a fast, aggressive 4-3 that wants to stop the run and play a lot of zone.
It's a 4-3 from, like, after the second half. It's like a 3-5-3 in the or whatever it is in the first quarter. Here, I got some comments about this. First, you're right on the money. The defense is starting to make plays at opportune times, right? It looked a little sluggish to start the game, and I said, I tweeted it was the end of it was in the second quarter, and I tweeted out the Panthers defense needs to make a play. And what happens? Brian Burns causes a fumble. Justin Burris about picks it up. Even though we don't get it and pick it up, we get the ball back and then we go down and score. I'm pretty sure we went and scored on that drive. Right? The defense made plays there. What you saw is that they were not really part of the problem for the Falcons is that they just refused to stick with Todd Gurley. They should have just ran the ball like every down. I mean, they were having much more success with that. It was Matt Ryan that lost them that game. I mean, not lost them that game. We played well, so I'm happy with that. But our defense, a lot of guys are stepping up and being part of the equation. Other things I observed in this game, KK Short was making a difference in this game. So that means he got injured again too?
Yeah. He was out for the last couple of drives with the shoulder injury.
Shoulder, dang. It was his foot before. And then we also had Brian Burns with some sort of injury. I don't know what it is yet.
They said concussion, but his brother is saying that it wasn't a concussion, but he's probably exhibiting concussion symptoms, but it's not actually a concussion. So.
He was laying down on his stomach. You saw him, and almost like you wonder if he got the wind knocked out of him. That could have been something, but you're right. It did look like he took some helmet type action. You know what I mean? He was getting there, thudded down there. Dante Jackson hurts his toe in the beginning, but
first play, I think.
Yeah. In fact,
at what point? Well, I was going to say, at what point do we start having this conversation about Dante Jackson? I feel like every single game that we play, and by the way, mind you, for 2 years, I've been one of the biggest Dante Jackson defenders on this podcast because I remember watching him at LSU thinking that he showed a ton of talent and potential. But now, not only has he played undisciplined in his time here, but now every single game he's coming up hurt, coming up with an ankle or a toe, or it's like, I don't know, man. So much of being a good football player is being available. And if you're not available, you're not helping this football team. And that says to me that even though we drafted all defense this year, we have some serious holes even still.
Dude, we could use a left tackle or a corner, man. Like, we could use that in the draft.
Badly.
Like, if we had a Kuda. All right. But on another more positive notes, though, for this defense is who's the guy that we got from the Eagles? Rasul Douglas. He's been playing fantastic.
Yeah,
he's been fantastic. I think that the defensive line is improving from week to week. Again, another Derek Brown penalty. It's like, you know what? Is the first game that Dante Jackson plays the entire game will be the first game that Derek Brown doesn't get a penalty.
Team Ginger says we have Eli Apple. So basically that means we have nothing.
Yeah, we have nothing at all.
We don't have a corner 1, we don't have a corner 2. And that like what you're starting to notice is our defensive line is actually nasty, and we have a good rotation. Like we have guys that can sub in and sub out.
We're getting nicked up though. We're really starting to get nicked up right now.
I'll say this, and then I'll pass the mic and stop rambling. Even though it got hurt today, Brian Burns is my favorite player on this whole football team. Like whenever you watch that guy just attack the quarterback, like he's so good with his hands. He's so aware. He knows the little setups and moves. Like I feel like I'm actively watching him get better in real time, and it's just fun and it's exciting, and it sucks that he got hurt today because Brian Burns is just a G, man. I'm loving it.
Yeah, there's some people that are definitely starting to earn my moving up the ranks as far as favorite Panthers players, and it's gonna be right up there at the top. It's gonna be Burns. It's gonna be Chin. Like, I mean, guys, I don't think what I like most about what I saw today was as bad as our linebackers are, which nobody can argue that, right? We could sit there, you know, they were eating us alive across the middle. There were just people wide open. I mean, our linebacking core is not good. No matter what, you can look at Shaq, it's not good. But Jeremy Chin was always there at the end of every play trying to do something every time. Like you saw his motor, it reminds me a lot of Luke, where he was always there when the play comes to an end. Somewhere, whether it's 20 yards down the field or if it's 5 yards in the backfield, he was always there today. And he's leading the team again in tackles today, you know, assuming that was the last stat I saw. But Jeremy Chin is a pickup and a half.
Chin check you. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the calls. The number's 252-228-5098. Let's see what the Panther fans have to say about this win. It's a streak, folks. Get excited.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty you shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like...
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Yo, C3, what's up, guys? This is Nova Black. I'm just calling
Nova Black.
I love you guys. Panthers win again. I'm not sure, man. This makes us like what? Number 1, number 2 in the NFC South with this win right here. I mean, you know, the Falcons choked and all, but we got to play better if we plan on to contend or make it to the playoffs, because I got hope for the playoffs. Hopefully we keep getting better every week. Defense keep getting better every week. And Dante Jackson stay healthy. Damn, can anybody stay healthy? Anyways, keep clowning, guys. We got another win. Catch you guys next week or Tuesday, you know, the weekly show. I'll definitely be listening, tuning in, and sharing because I don't have to work. So, love you guys. Over and out.
My man, Nova Black, legend among Panther fans and legend among the C3 show. Let's keep pounding with these calls.
What's up, y'all? It's Darius from Raleigh. I want to give a huge shout out to this coaching staff. I don't even think what I'm about to say is controversial. We would not be 3-2 with all the adversity we faced this offseason, these new faces, if Ron Rivera was still here. Let's be honest. Go look at what Redskins fans are complaining about and what we've been complaining about since his tenure in Carolina, and that's clock management. This coaching staff right here is the reason we are 3-2. They are playing hard for these coaches. One thing I want to point out is how many times did we complain about missed opportunities when people were streaking down the field, but wide receivers were giving up on blocking down the field. Cough, cough, Funches, cough, cough, Kelvin Benjamin, and the list goes on. It all comes down to coaching, guys. And all I see us is we're going up from here, because I don't think any of us expected to be 3-2 with all these new faces. But like we say, let's just keep pounding.
Yeah, I agree. As a lot of kudos to the coaching staff. I think you can see it on so many different levels too, right? Is that you can see it on the small things, like where our receivers are blocking down real hard, and that seems to be something that has been prioritized. Maybe it's a little toughness aspect to the team. I'm not sure. We have not seen any real egregious game errors for this coaching staff. We have not seen, and what I think is most important, is that there's been times where it did not look like the Panthers prepared for the other team that well. And this was kind of Ron Rivera's style. And maybe it's an okay style. I don't know if it's right or wrong. I just don't think the coach gets you many wins this way. Is he was going to play the same game no matter what opponent he played. Yeah. You know, it's like, this is the game we play, and this is how we're going to win, and they're going to have to beat us. Well, when we look at some of these other coaches across the league, at least I think Bill Belichick being the number one mastermind of this, is that not only does he coach his team that way, but he coaches his team in preparation for the strengths and weaknesses of his opponent. I'm not ready to say that we've started to attack weaknesses crazily, but we have not looked one note as a team in this. Joe Brady has continued to be balanced without being too conservative, and the defense is getting better from week to week. That shows, you know what, good coaching and players getting better. And, you know, I mean, the players got to play, but the coaches aren't getting in the way.
Right. Hey, real quick, this is kind of away from I just want to ask real quick because I'm putting something together. How many CRs did you say Bridgewater threw for in the first half?
260.
Like 260. Okay. I got something to bring up later after we get done talking about
What are you talking about, 50 yards in the second half?
I'm talking about 50 yards in the second half and 3 points. Yes. Yeah. I'll bring that up in a little while. But let's praise him for a great first half, but 50 yards and 3 points in the second half.
Let's also, I mean, like I said, not going to shit on Teddy Bridgewater because this is a win that I think is impressive, but I'm also interested to see what his second half stats are with receptions and completions. Because
but also factor in this: you're ahead significantly. Mike Davis was getting and running the clock down too. He was picking up 8 yards a chunk. So why go away from it? You know, I mean, is that just interesting. Numbers 252-228-5098.
Hey guys, Joey again. And Dante. My God, like, can you please play one game in full? Like, if you know your toe's bad, stop coming into games. Like, dude, I know you're important, but that's why you shouldn't be coming into games you know you're going to get hurt in. Let that turf toe recover, because honestly, it's getting annoying with Dante keeps getting hurt every game, and now Ridley's kicking our ass in the third quarter, about to be the fourth. Yeah. I mean, we'll hope for Atlanta to blow their lead when they get it, because that would be a new low for them, actually, which would be quite glorious for them to take the lead and blow the lead in the fourth quarter. Like that would be glorious. But I mean, your greatest ability is availability, and right now Dante not being available kind of makes him look like he sucks. So, and I know he doesn't. He's gotten a lot better under Matt Rule, and he's been one of our better defensive players. I mean, our whole defense has stepped up better than we expected them to, but Dante needs to sit until he's better, because we can't keep losing him, and we can't keep having to scramble in games. The
problem is we need him, and this was one of the things is we already gambled a little bit. Thanks for the call, Joe. Here, actually, we got to get the row in.
We'd be great too, but I think Jackson is a huge void that's getting to be a problem, and it's annoying me. Anyway, guys, Wow.
Yeah, it's the thing is, it is annoying, but you really can't control injuries. He's battled through a lot here. To be honest, think about this: if we didn't have Russell Douglas, how bad it would be.
Yeah, it'd be bad, man.
We'd have to go pick up somebody
Leo Jones.
And you know what I find funny, like how we were just talking about the difference between first half and second half with Bridgewater. So like we can do the same thing with Marty Hurney now. Oh man, thank God Marty Hurney went and got Russell Douglas, man, because our DBs would be getting even more cooked.
And that's part of. But that's part of. You do have to do that as a GM. You have to make mid.
Go back the other way and look at his first option, which was Eli Apple, who has yet to play any meaningful football or do.
Well, his hamstrings have exploded. He has 2 broken hamstrings. The Panthers were not clearly trying to invest in the secondary this offseason, right? I'm just saying this is that, and they put a lot of stock in the guys that they had and hoping that they were going to be able to tough it out. It sucks. I mean, you knew this was a big risk because Dante is a smaller dude. It's kind of like, putting all your eggs in the basket of Curtis Samuel or Damiere Byrd. I mean, at some point you think that these guys could potentially get hurt. Next call.
Hey, yo, C3, how we doing? Dave from Brooklyn. Good to talk
What's
to you.
up, Dave?
Arthur
What's up, Dave?
Blank is on the field right now, so you know what that means. He's about to sell Matt Ryan, the human banjo, a coffin. Guy was the greatest Undertaker the world has ever seen. Hey, ice up Matt Ryan. They take the ball out of your hands for the whole second half. They start coming back. You throw one pass, they lose. Oof. This Falcons rebuild is going to be one hell of a ride. Oh, one more question. So, is anyone else on this defense going to tackle anybody other than Jeremy Chin? He's the only one doing it. Talk to you later.
Talking about that a little bit too.
Yeah, somebody in the chat room said earlier that the run defense is still a problem. Todd Gurley was a problem on the outside. I did see, what's strange is like sometimes we're tackling really well and flying to the ball, and then sometimes they're just able to pierce through it like a knife. I saw Dre Boston make a big tackle up the middle on a running back today, and I also saw him
get horribly.
Yeah. So it's hard to. I think the defense is playing better though. I think the tackling's getting better. Right? Yeah. Is that we were really bad at tackling last year, so I think the team looks better than it did in week 1. It looks better now than it did in week 1, and that includes Teddy, who's able to get us manufacture some touchdowns for us now. Right? Is that instead of Joey Sly even looks better. The question is how are we going to continue to fortify? And we're actually. Not the question is, imagine this team with another defensive end. I know that you guys like Gross Matos, but he
had a good game today.
He did. He's a skinny fella too, though. Imagine if you had for what he needs to put on like 15 more. He needs to do what Cleveland Farrell did. He's about the same size, 265. That's small for the NFL. For the NFL, that's small for an end. Yeah, you gotta be 285. What's Bosa sitting at?
But for a defensive end, you also have to realize you have to.
What's Bosa sitting at?
The edge.
What's Bosa sitting at?
285. No.
Yes.
No. Bosa's not 285.
Look it up. Look it up.
It's not 285.
I'll look it up.
Tony, you have to realize that 280 plus pounds doesn't bend the edge very well. Like, there's a fine line of body weight that you have to hit. Like,
dude, some of the
Brian Burns,
the freaks.
Brian Burns is only a little bit underweight. He's not even that much underweight.
He's smaller than he's bigger than Gross Matos.
Bosa's 280 pounds.
Told you.
Okay, most defensive ends aren't.
Pick another one. Pick another Bosa.
No, not another Bosa. All right, how about Myles Garrett?
Myles Garrett.
Yeah, Myles Garrett.
I was thinking Miles Austin. I was like, what's he got to do with this? He's a wide
What are you
receiver that played
talking
for.
about? No, dude.
All right, I'm gonna go to the next call while
you.
I'm gonna go to the next call while you say this because you gotta be
265.
I was
285.
trying to be real nice earlier, but I changed my mind. Why does Matt Ryan always look like he just got slapped in the face? Simple Jack with his helmet on. Say, you make me happy.
He don't like Matt Ryan.
I don't
Overalls on. Takes
You know
his
what?
boots off and walks home.
You know what? That's gonna be damn Cody next year when Trevor Lawrence is a Falcon.
I hate all you so much for already using this against me. I'm at the point where it's like I'm wanting the Jets. Like I'm wanting the Jets. Like I was at one point wanted them to win. Like when I thought the Panthers might be in the running, but now that I know we're not, dude, I just want the Jets just to lose every single game.
Dude, we might have a scenario where somebody in the NFC East gets that number 1 pick, because right now the Giants are winless, but they're beating the Cowboys right now.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's so weird right now the way that everything's playing out. The Redskins, I mean, everybody. If this plays out the way that it is right now, there is a chance that everybody in the NFC East has 1 win going into Week 6.
A lot of teams are in the running for the number 1 pick right now. Like we still need more football to sort itself out. The Jaguars are still in the running for the number 1 pick. It's like there's a lot still going on, man. But yeah, it's not going to be us.
All right.
We trade up for them.
No, we definitely.
Smack the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the C3 Panthers podcast. The number's 252-228-5098. Is it really that hard to push the thumbs up button, to hit the share button, share it on Twitter, on Facebook, wherever you hang out? It's not that hard. It's easier than calling in. Be brave. Call in 252-228-5098. Darius Jones says Dan Quinn fired. Is that true? We're going to look it up.
What's going on, C3? Stacks chilling back again. Oh, my goodness. I don't know what game you guys are watching, but this Panthers team is looking like the real deal. Defense has literally stopped Matt Ryan. I know they didn't have Julio, but still look very good. I'm actually watching the last 30 seconds now. Very impressed, especially to do without Brian Burns and a couple of our main starters. So things are looking good. But a couple of things I want to highlight is, yet again, Teddy touchdowns. I keep hearing you guys still talking about Trevor Lawrence. Just give it up already. Teddy is the man. Teddy is putting up career numbers and is putting the lights up on the stadium. Additionally, Mike Davis, or I call the little beef stick, doesn't go down. Wide receivers looking good. Robby Anderson, new number 1. DJ Moore still running all the way. This team, I don't know, man. I'm not gonna count them as a 9-7 team. I'm gonna count them as a probably 10-6. But that's all I got for my message. Love the podcast. Just quit talking about next year. Let's focus on this year, baby.
So Jeff Schultz is reporting the firing of Dan Quinn has been all but finalized. An announcement could come Monday or Tuesday, a source told The Athletic. The Falcons have started 0-5 for the first time since 1997, and Quinn is 14-23 since 2018. So,
well, I'm going to say in source Darius Jones, first of all. Darius breaking it to me, so I'm giving him my per source. And I also saw Don
Shout out Darius.
Don Kleeman says per at Jeff Schultz, Atlanta, breaking Falcons are firing QB Dan Quinn. So it's just when will the official announcement come? I knew it was going to happen. I knew the Panthers were going to get this mug fired. In fact, if you would have hung out, I've been recording a bonus podcast each week with, a writer or a blogger or something from a podcaster from the other team. And I asked my man Aaron Freeman about this, when it was going to happen. He said it's going to happen against the Panthers, whether it's this week or week 8. Because that would be a Thursday night game and would be a good scenario for them to bring in an interim. All right, so back to this. Too hard on Teddy Bridgewater by the crew. And I don't. That's according to the calls right now. So I don't know how that's the case. Really, is that I don't know if have we said anything that's wrong?
No. I mean, we haven't been hard. I mean, like we said, we've said he did a really good job of managing this team. I think a lot of people want to come at the throats of people who say that Trevor is not the future of this organization because he had a few good games where he's. And again, just keep in mind, 2 games ago we won in spite of Teddy. So can't even use that. Last week he had a good comeback game, and this week he started out the game good, but our offense is fighting, and that's what it is. So you can't sit here and vilify us for saying that Teddy Bridgewater is not the answer long term when he has shown a lot of shaky, decision making, as all quarterbacks do. But we've got to, like I said, we've got to see this consistently, and you've got to keep in mind too, guys. We have literally played the Chargers, and we beat a rookie quarterback. We've played the Cardinals, who is a second-year quarterback who is good, don't get me wrong, but they're still trying to find their identity as well. And we beat now the Falcons, who were winless coming into this.
And the Falcons look putrid. Yeah. Let's just go ahead and say it. We heard that commentator say, "Oh, look, they came out here and playing hard for him in the second half." They looked defeated the entire time.
They did, and I have a question that I want to.
Matt Ryan looks defeated, and I don't even understand that. Usually, he's so dumb he doesn't even know they've lost yet, and he'll be throwing 90-yard bombs right at the end.
And it's one of those things that whenever you're the type of quarterback like Matt Ryan, as you start to get older, he's never really had an excess of physical gifts. So when father time does start to creep in for him, it creeps in even doubly so. And I'm not saying that he's old, but he doesn't have that zip on his passes that I feel like he even had a few years ago. This is a full rebuilding Atlanta Falcons team. There are one of the things I'm thinking of is I think one of the hot coaching hires of this offseason is going to be Eric Bieniemy, who we've talked about before, and he's going to have his pick of seemingly a bunch of different options. That guy can just wait and go see who the number 1 pick is and attach himself to Trevor Lawrence for the next how many years and try and build around him, or you can go to Houston and Deshaun Watson. There's a lot of bad teams, and Atlanta, I feel like the team that has the number 1 pick is always unexpected, and Atlanta was that unexpected team this year that's just, they're dog shit, man. And I'm happy that they're dog shit, but man, I wish it wasn't this fucking.
But they're so bad they can't help me cover the damn over, though, these assholes. And that's another thing.
Remember, though, last year they started 0-6 and they finished 7-9. So the season's not over yet. They may do that again this year. We never know.
I hope we play them again before week 6.
Yeah.
All right. Next call.
Yo, I am not just starting to. Y'all don't know what the hell y'all are looking at, and y'all don't know football, and I'm tired of this. Y'all want something to complain about.
We're talking to this
good old Teddy Bridgewater isn't good old Cam Newton. Well, God damn it, he's not coming back. He's never coming back.
We never even said Cam Newton's name.
No, but nobody said Cam Newton not one time this show,
Teddy
guy.
Bridgewater threw for over 300 yards because he was making good decisions. Maybe
50 in the second half.
40-yard bomb like y'all want.
4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions this year. Ooh, he's killing it.
Tired of this.
Yeah, we don't know football. 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
Ridiculous. This man, he made one mistake, and then I see people online. Oh, he did not see it wide open right Anderson. Well, as soon as he snapped the ball, they were rushing him in his face. Yes, he saw it, Chris. I don't know what you are looking at, but
Who's
like I said,
Chris?
y'all don't know what the hell y'all are talking about. And
Did he call him the wrong podcast?
Y'all just really in denial because y'all love Cam Newton so much because Teddy Bridgewater has been playing his ass off. And you can think whatever you want. You can look at the numbers. You can say, "Oh, he's just another Kyle Allen." I promise you, he's way better than Kyle Allen ever thought he could be. So
stats don't say he's better.
I mean, it is what it is. We're winning, and that's all I care about.
I agree.
All right, I'm going to put the video up. This is commentary from a third party who has nothing to do with the Carolina Panthers.
And by the way,
as
pay
Rock
attention
Keyword shows
to DJ
here,
Moore.
golden opportunity for Teddy Bridgewater. He doesn't read that there's going to be a blitz here, and nobody's covering DJ Moore. Safety on this side of the field. Nobody covering. Bridgewater never even looks in that direction.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He looked at one person in that entire interaction. And then somebody wanted to tell me on Twitter, his O-line was getting blown up. No, if you look there, DJ Moore was wide open before anybody broke containment.
Yeah.
And how dare they? Our offensive line is balling out of control right now, man. Dude, is it just me? Our offensive line,
it's been the best it's been in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I told you, Okun carried Curtis Samuel for like 6 yards today.
And
I loved that. I loved it.
Yeah.
And also on that play, he doesn't even look to the other side of the field, and that's what CK said earlier. He'll hone in on Robby Anderson just like Kyle Allen did with DJ Moore.
Well, he thought. I think with this,
that's where he goes with the ball.
No, I don't think it's similar to like Kyle Allen does. I think in that play is that I think he thought he probably had an advantage with Robby Anderson there from the snap, right? So like he thought he's trying to play ahead of the play some ways, and I do like Teddy for that. Is that I feel like he knows where to go with the ball sometimes situationally.
He's more cerebral. I'll say that, and I think every person on here is going to say Kyle Allen is definitely not nearly in the same category as Teddy Bridgewater. Right. I mean, you're talking about an undrafted free agent and a number one or a first round draft pick at one point in their careers. Right. You're talking about, two separate. I think what we're talking about is what we're getting from Kyle Allen right now, like last year at this same time, is reminiscent of what we recall seeing out of Teddy Bridgewater this year.
I also just would say this. We'll watch this play one more time and watch where the ball lands. Yes, there's pressure, but I think that this is where you see
15 yards shy.
The arm talent isn't there, so it makes some of these plays harder. We'll look at it one more time. Again, it's not about him being good or bad. It's just about what are his strengths, weaknesses, and limitations.
As Brock Heward shows here, golden opportunity for Teddy Bridgewater. He doesn't read that there's going to be a blitz here, and nobody's covering DJ Moore.
See, I think he thinks he has a favorable matchup, and he does. The problem is you're just going to have to get the ball
Bridgewater
there.
never even looks in that direction.
But that's why. But again, this is why we're talking about.
That's a hard throw to make, and I think it highlights what some of the things you're saying. That's what you've been saying.
So you're talking about going through your progressions, even in the face of pressure. That's what you have to do as quarterback. Like whenever
he thought he had at one, though, and he did.
Okay, but listen, it doesn't matter though. If you have another option that equals 6 points, you made the wrong decision. Like that's how that rule doesn't change if it's Cam Newton, Teddy Bridgewater, Patrick Mahomes. That doesn't change for anyone. And again, Teddy Bridgewater played well today, but so did our incredible offensive weapons who are yards after the catch guys and know how to do this shit. And now they have a good offensive coordinator scheming them up. But on plays like that, if you're not reading the field correctly, then you're going to have missed opportunities. And that's literally what we've been running away from since Ron Rivera was fired, this missed opportunity BS. If we have opportunities to put points on the board and build up the lead even higher, we should do that every single time. And Teddy has to be able to do that.
And can I just say too, these people who are talking about Teddy Bridgewater playing elite and being the business, telling us we don't know football. Look, man, don't say that. Okay, Teddy Bridgewater is doing okay. He is not playing fantastic. Once again, I will argue he's playing the exact same as Kyle Allen did last year. Let's see how the stats roll out at the end of the year. But a guy who has a 50% touchdown, red zone touchdown percentage or ratio is 27th in the NFL, in front of teams like Indianapolis, Denver, Cincinnati, the Jets, and the Giants. Seriously, that's not that great. A guy who has 6 touchdowns through 4 games and 3 interceptions is not that great. Let's stop acting like a bunch of yards after catch is Teddy Bridgewater being an elite quarterback. He's a good, serviceable quarterback. And if you think he's elite, then you don't know football.
How about
sir.
this? Let's go ahead and I'll pose the question to the chat room then. Is Teddy a top 10 quarterback in this league?
No.
Hell no.
What's going on, C3? Stacks Chillman back at it again. Just wanted to highlight how good our offensive line is. that they're, I think, the most underrated offensive line in the NFL. And Teddy stayed clean today. So, I don't know. Just saying. Again, stop talking about next year. Let's focus on this year. 3-2, baby. Go Panthers. Keep pounding.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, man. It's Jeremy from Swansboro.
What's up, Jeremy?
Fucking two gloves, man, and Mikey D and the boys are making it happen. I'll tell you what, it's starting to look like a good team we got here, guys. Defense, I hope these injuries aren't too severe. But, hey, future's looking bright.
So I think it shows you what happens when you play in all three phases of the ball well. The Panthers' defense gave them enough problems, limited their performance limited the team to 16 points. So our defense played well. Carolina was able to find the end zone, so the offense was able to convert. And if this damn game book would ever come up, oh my gosh. But I would tell you what the third down conversion rates was. That's what I'm really interested in, and them on third down. But then also I think another thing to highlight is finally up. Another thing to highlight is our special teams continues to play well. This Joey Charlton dude or whatever the punter is, dropping the ball on the 8 a couple of times. Man, he has been playing great, like where I don't even miss Mike Pilardi almost. And Joey Sly is making the field goal attempts. Pharaoh Cooper, a little wanting to get involved in the action, maybe just a bit too much. I saw some people talking about that. We were 6 for 12 on third down, so we were not fantastic, but we were okay. We were better than they were, 6 and 13 on third down. Fourth down, they were 1 for 1. We didn't have that, and I'm trying to see, did we have any big plays? I guess that's another way to what were our explosive plays? I'd like to know what those were. But, yeah, this is when all three parts of the game play well, you're going to do pretty well. We didn't turn the ball over. We forced turnovers. We won the turnover battle. If you don't win these games, it's going to be hard to win the games you don't play well in. That's my point right there. So, yeah, we should be excited about the performance of the Panthers. The number's 252-228-5098.
Hey, guys, it's Jason from Colorado calling. Heck of a win today. Great to beat the Falcons for the first time since 2014 at home, so that was sweet to watch. In regards to what y'all were talking about on the show on Tuesday, I gotta say I disagree with what Cody was saying. You don't trade up to draft anybody, even if it's your all-star quarterback, because there's been way too many stories of teams doing that and it falling through. And even if you're 100% sure that Trevor Lawrence is the guy, there's nothing to say that even if you draft him, that he doesn't have exceptional talent and get hurt and not be able to play. There's things that are outside of your control that you can't risk the future of your team on. And so kind of goes back to what I said on the call a couple of weeks ago, that you need to draft well and not high. And that's what the teams who have found their quarterbacks in the later rounds have done. They didn't reach. Sometimes they'll trade up, to take a pick in the end of the second round instead of at the middle of the third round and things like that. I don't have a problem with that, but when you're trading up into the top 5, you're going to have to pay a king's ransom, and that sets you behind no matter what, because you can't use that capital to build your team. But moving on to this week, I think that, our secondary didn't play as well as it could have. Chin continues to be a stud, but he needs to teach Trey how to tackle. And Justin Burris was just clowning out there. I mean, I was ready to just cut him before he made the interception in the end zone. But, I mean, he cut towards the line of scrimmage when Calvin Ridley had that catch on third and 25 and totally blew his coverage. And then he botched the fumble recovery and didn't use his fundamentals. I mean, Pop Warner teaches you fall on the ball to recover it. And, but, he did redeem himself with the interception in the back of the end zone that really did set the tone for us for the rest of the game. I don't think the announcers know anything about the Panthers. Everything that I was hearing them say, oh, well, Matt Rule's a really good defensive coach, and I don't know, just a lot of things that came up. They were it seemed like they were just talking about the same points that other people were because they didn't feel like doing any research. They hadn't watched any games. You could tell by their commentary that they were completely in the dark. I was super stoked to see DJ pull the Forrest Gump and just run out the tunnel on his 56-yard catch and run. That was pretty exciting. I'd like to see him get more touches. It seems like Teddy is kind of falling into a rhythm of looking for Anderson first.
Yep.
Let me see. Let me see. Here, it's back in.
Just to wrap up, it's great to watch our offensive line playing so well. It seems like we haven't really replaced a whole lot of people, but they're playing to a much higher level. They're adding yards to runs. Okung carried Curtis on one of his runs an extra 5 or 6 yards just by grabbing him and pushing him forward. And that's the kind of stuff that we're talking about as a team playing for each other. And it really speaks to the culture that Matt Rule's building in Carolina, and it's really encouraging to see that. But anyway, I don't have as much to say this week, so keep pounding. And love the show. Keep doing what.
You know, we surprisingly lost the penalty battle in this. Can you believe that? We only had one penalty too.
Wow. And that was the delay of game.
No, it was a false start by. It was on
offense.
Yeah.
Or we lost. So we had more than that because we had.
Wait, never mind. I'm reading this wrong. This wrong. Sorry, I'm reading first downs by penalty. We have one first down by penalty. Excuse me. Penalties. We have 4 for 25. They were 3 for 40.
So the 4 for 25. One of those was a delay of game intentional.
Right. 2
of them were encroachment by Brown, and then the fourth one would have been.
He had 2 encroachments today.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
God.
What else was the other one? I think it was like a defensive illegal contact downfield or something. I think.
Run DMC Lovato says great call with the Forrest Gump. He's excited about that, and that's Jason from Colorado. And then we see Panthers 2020. How is Matos?
We don't know. I don't think we got an update on him yet.
Yeah, it did. I don't think it looks. It looked like an ankle, maybe.
Yeah. But I want to talk about him because I feel like he's not being given enough credit. I feel like I have seen him come around the edge fast. Like he is getting better. And
he runs a stunt real well.
He what?
Is they call it a stunt where you kind of come in through like
yeah. You kind of fake like you're going to the city, then come back to the beer. He does good with that. But I feel he also has done a really good job setting a physical edge and coming around the edge on third and passing downs.
Yeah.
And again, Tony and I disagree on this. It's like, well, you can draft a defensive end, but they're not going to really be good for. Like, dude, that's all situational. If you get a good, talented player, they can come and make really meaningful impacts sooner than later. And I think, again, like our timetables have been a little bit skewed because of one, starting the NFL season under this COVID BS, then having to think about a brand new coach, defensive coordinator, learning the system. Like there are a lot of things that we're just now starting to see gel, and you see why these guys were drafted, and specifically Gross Matos. Like I feel him and Brian Burns will be a very exciting pass rushing tandem for a long time to come. And I think Gross Matos is really good.
I want to at least bring up the Burris discussion. I'm gonna defend him in the same time I'm gonna criticize him. First and foremost, I agree with the diving if he was around a lot of other players. That is 100%. But when the ball is 20 yards in the backfield,
I know.
Scoop and score.
That's a score. I know.
So here's the thing. I 100% agree with his decision to try to scoop and score. I will criticize him on his exexecution.
Yeah,
because that's where
you gotta scoop before you can score.
That's what I'm talking about. I mean, so there were a lot of people trying to sit there and say Burris should have done this. If he had Brian Burns wouldn't have gotten hurt. We don't know all of it. We can sit here and play future, fortune teller all day, every day. But he made the right decision, right? He made the right decision, and that was to try to scoop and score. He just did not execute it the right way. Now, come back to where he did redeem himself. With that nice interception in the end zone. So I'm not going to say it's a wash because one did the play directly after result in Brian Burns being removed from the game. But nonetheless, I think we've got to allow him to have some benefit of the doubt, and I think that comes back to coaching too. Is that he was making the right decision there, but the execution aspect of it was wrong. So his mind was in the right place, his hands were not.
Yeah, I think and the fact is that it set him back so far. If that it does suck, you want to get it, grab the damn football, but you hate to just. He was in a position to pick it up and run. It wasn't like he was trying to pick it up and he was flailing around on the ground and stuff like this and trying to get up. He was in the position to walk it right into the house, which we needed. And with the Burris thing, I don't know. I guess is that I'm going to trust what you guys are saying is that I haven't seen him make a great impact outside of that interception. But I don't know. As the coaching staff's talked pretty well about him, how do you guys feel like is that he hasn't been a liability necessarily for us? Do you guys think he is? A lot of people are shitting on him in the chat room.
Justin Burris?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, it's one of those names. I remember Panthers guy at FSU kept on saying that name over the course of the offseason, and it's just like it's another name who's playing in a position he shouldn't be playing in. Like Justin Burris is whatever. He shouldn't be a starter on any football team anywhere. So he's like kind of just doing whatever he can. Like we have a real problem with our defensive backfield right now.
Yeah, I mean, and Troy Pride Jr. is going to have to grow up real quick, it seems like, at this point with everybody else getting nicked up.
Yeah.
I mean, we've also got another rookie, Stanley.
Yeah, he's been hurt too.
Yeah.
And we did have some guy that we picked up from the Jets and then dropped immediately from the practice squad. Anyway.
At the end of the third quarter, and thankfully we fixed that because, where I'm used to under Rivera, if that would have started happening, that would have lost us the game because Rivera wouldn't have made any adjustments. But anyway, I have a question, okay? And I know this might get y'all started, and this is a post-game when we're in the season, so it's not like there's a lack of things to talk about. But anyway, do you think that losing Christian McCaffrey has forced us to get more creative? Because, it would have been beneficial to figure out how to do this and figure out how to use everybody as we have. But when you have someone like McCaffrey, I don't think the reward outweighs the risk of doing that, because if we did that and then we kept losing the games, we'd be like, we have McCaffrey on this team, why aren't we using him? Like we did that other day. But now that he's gone, and we don't have McCaffrey, and now we're forced to win other ways. You think that's been good for us? I mean, I'm not saying we don't want to have McCaffrey back, but I kind of think that's been good for us because we've figured out other ways to win, and now when McCaffrey gets back, it'll just make it that much better. And we better not go in the shell and only use McCaffrey just because he's a beast.
Yeah.
Because he's shown that he's mortal. And he won't be the same again. Because Saquon had that injury last year, and he wasn't the same. He'll be great next year. He'll probably be great, but, he won't be what we're used to from CMC for this year after that injury. I don't think. Anyway, guys.
Oh, it cut him.
All right, here's what I'll say to that before, listen, I said it from the day one that we saw him go on IR. I said this is going to be good for our offense because now the ball is going to get spread around. And when he does come back, not only are they going to have to game plan for Christian McCaffrey, they now have to game plan for Robby Anderson, Curtis Samuel, Mike Davis. All of a sudden, you have a lot of different heads looking a lot of different ways because they're like, oh, CMC doesn't have to do it all. All right, well, I guess we're going to not stack the box.
See, I got to kind of somewhat disagree with what's going on here because I'm looking at Mike Davis for the last two games, and he's rushed the ball 16 times the last two games, looking at 84 yards and 89 yards. I'm not even looking at receiving. Let's see, receiving, he's had 9 receptions this game for 60 yards and a touchdown, 5 for 27 last game. That's very similar to what we ran with Christian McCaffrey the first 3 games when he was in. About 16 rushes and about 7 or 8 passes.
Yeah, but
I tell you, Mike Davis is a man, though. You ain't
we're running the same game is what we're saying. We didn't change anything.
This is what the analytics people will tell you, and this is also going back to what Cody said about paying the running back and things like this. That's the point that they make, is that the drop off is not significant enough to alter games as much as you think. Now, I think that there's some things that you should throw in here. Number one is Mike Davis has been playing like a man possessed, right? And today he just was smashing it, right? I mean, he was beaten. He was a sledgehammer out there. And so that's one thing. Another thing so it's not like you could just sub anybody in. This guy's actually out there doing some damn balling. The next thing is that I do think there's something to be said about Joey's call, and I don't know what the right wording is if it makes us better, but what I do think this has required other people to do is step up into leadership roles on the offense when times are tough. And somebody that's benefited the most, arguably, is Curtis Samuel. CK said earlier in the show that we would not have won this game without Curtis Samuel. And I think that one of the things is that's given him an opportunity to show his self-confidence on the field, and I think that's a big deal. I hope what it does when he returns is I like when they motion Curtis Samuel into the backfield and then motion him out as a receiver. If you start doing that with McCaffrey, where you motioned McCaffrey out as a receiver, Curtis Samuel in as a back, all of a sudden you're going to learn what defenses are doing so much, right? And I think that that's kind of a cool thing. We ran one play where, and I don't know, I think it was when we were trying to get them offsides. It might have been where we drew it down all the way to the delay of game penalty. But we motioned Curtis, then we motioned Robby. Like, it was everybody's moving around, and they were just hoping that the defense was going to get confused. I think that is something to be said. And ultimately, we have learned that Teddy Bridgewater, through 4 games, has proven to us he is the equivalent of Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Peyton Manning. Who was the other name that was up there? Aaron Rodgers. 4 games, and this guy wins. He wins like Jimmy Garoppolo. Him and Jimmy G are the greatest QBs in the history of football.
Throwing Alex Smith, and you've got the whole trifecta, bro.
By the way, Jimmy G's getting smashed right now.
Well, he's not. Is he even back yet?
Yeah.
There was one. He is back this week. There was one point where he had won something like 13 or 15 in a row or something through 2 seasons.
Yeah,
and that was because he got traded. He got traded in a garbage time season, and he got a massive contract that off season, which I thought was a mistake. I still think to this day was.
It was the biggest at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was the biggest.
He became off of a 5-game winning streak where his numbers were mediocre at best. But anyway.
Which is what happens when you overreact to a quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo or Teddy Bridgewater, and you see what happens in the results.
I think last year.
They're 2-2 this year, about to lose to the Dolphins.
I think what Brandon Herbert is saying is slanderous when it comes to these other guys. Like, I'm not even. You're saying we're insulting Teddy Bridgewater. I feel like you're insulting Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and Patrick Mahomes here.
Aaron Rodgers we're also. Like, we're also only arguing against Brandon Herbert's crazy logic right now.
Right.
But no one else agrees with
it's like he only took Peyton Manning's career stats when in his, like, after his neck was broken, and Tom Brady after he turned 40.
Yeah, the guy telling us that we don't know football is
the next thing he's going to tell me is that Joe Flacco was the best deep ball thrower in the history of football. I've never seen that guy hit a deep ball since the Super Bowl.
Not one time.
Oh, and Joe Flacco had a cannon, bro. A cannon.
In one season, God, he had a cannon for throwing it into the first row of the stands.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so off all the time. All right, the number's 252-228-5098. What's left to talk about, man? There's still some things to uncover in this game. You tell us what it is. We'll talk about it.
Special teams.
What's up, C3? It's Run DMC Lovato again. I'm going to fucking say it. Ron Rivera he's a fucking trash coach, okay? I love Ron Rivera. He's a good man, good-hearted man. I hope he gets over his cancer, but he was a fucking shit coach. He got carried by fucking Cam Newton. I honestly believe if we would have had Matt Rule, don't even say, oh, it's only 5 games, Matt Rule. No. If we would have had fucking Matt Rule at the start of Cam Newton's career, we would have won maybe multiple fucking Super Bowls. This dude knows how to
That's all.
Ron Rivera never fucking did that.
With the coaching staff we had now, Cam
never
would
gave
turn
trust in anybody besides his veterans. All Ron Rivera was good for was knowing how to call plays for a defense. He had nothing to offer for the offense. He never helped Cam Newton out, never gave him any fucking weapons. Look how great Teddy Bridgewater is playing under Matt Rule. Okay?
Imagine how great Cam would be.
I'd be insane.
Okay? Matt Rule.
How dare you, Tony?
Okay, we're gonna win a fucking Super Bowl.
I had to say it.
I
Look,
know
Baltimore
people say,
now.
"Oh, you're exaggerating." No, we're gonna win a fucking Super Bowl with this coach. This coach is gonna be our longtime Mike Tomlin, our longtime Pete Carroll, our longtime Sean Payton type of damn coach. This coaching staff is amazing. I'm so happy. I was super hyped whenever we hired Matt Rule. I really wanted him over every other coach, and I really thought we had no shot to get him because I thought the Giants were going to snag him. But I am extremely excited for Matt Rule, and I'm kind of depressed that we didn't have him earlier when we had Cam Newton in his prime. But who knows, man? Ooh, what do you guys think about that? Do you guys think if we had Matt Rule, say in 2015, you think we would have won the Super Bowl then? Because I guarantee you, he would have put someone else to guard Von Miller.
I'm not going to make a point. I just want to say something before you respond.
Yeah.
Chat, get ready.
He was a horrible coach.
I think we're about to have conflict in the actual C3 Panthers podcast.
All right.
Hey, look, you can say what you want to about Ron Rivera and the Cam Newton thing, and I'm not saying Ron Rivera is the best coach ever, but Ron Rivera was with us for what, 8 years?
Yeah.
What took us to 1 Super Bowl, 3 playoff appearances, won the NFC South 3 times,
4
coach of the year twice.
3 playoff.
3, okay. Coach
no, we
only
got 4.
3? We have 4. We definitely have 4.
2017.
Coach of the year 2 times, led the team to a 15-1 season, the second best record ever in the NFL. I mean, say what you want to about Ron Rivera. He did have some good years and he did some good things for us. I don't believe if you put Matt Rule in here in Ron Rivera's place that it's going to be any different. You know why? Because we're going to end up the exact same way this year that we have for the last few years with an injured Cam Newton. So, I mean, say what you want to. Like I said, in 13 games in, I'm going to compare the stats for what Carolina was the last 3 years and what they are now. And then I want to hear people talk about how great Matt Rule is and how great Teddy Bridgewater is.
I'm going to tell you, this is where I said we're going to have conflict. I think our team right now is playing at a high level. Think about this right now. There have been some small rookie mistakes. Don't get me wrong, with Derek Brown getting the encroachment a few times. Mm-hmm. But if you look at number one, with such a young team, you would expect penalties to be pretty high. We've been pretty low in penalties. They've been doing well, and every week, if there's something that was a weakness,
and if you took our oldest player out of the equation, Tahir Whitehead, we would be no penalties. No.
Yeah, it feels that way, right? But nonetheless, I mean, if you look at this team, I mean, they are coached like all the complaints we talked about with Ron Rivera, time management, wanting to favor the older guys, wanting to or just being either too conservative or wanting to make it seem like he is this riverboat Ron when he did that for maybe one season and then went right back to the same Ron Rivera that we all knew and loved, right? Which is never going for it on 4th down, even if it's 4th and 1 with one of the most, short yardage threats in the NFL and Cam Newton. All of these things, like that's what you got with Ron Rivera. You're not getting that with Matt Rule, right? You've got great time management. I think we had one game this year where we felt like maybe there was a complaint to in the half or something like that with it. But other than that, these guys are being very smart with the ball. They're not committing a lot of penalties, and the young guys are getting an opportunity. And you don't get that, with Ron Rivera. And now you're seeing Chin come out. Chin wouldn't have got a shot on this team. If Ron Rivera was here, Chin would not have gotten an opportunity to play. It would have been somebody else who's been playing for
Colin Jones.
Yeah,
who's with the Redskins.
I'm on CK's side with this, and I also feel like a lot of what the caller said has proven to be true. And to all of the things that Greg said in rebut, I say all the things that I was shouting when I was screaming for Ron Rivera to be fired. It never had back-to-back winning seasons. Those times that we did make it to the playoff, one year was when we were 7-8-1, and the NFC South was a dumpster fire. And then those other years were kind of sparsed out between one another. Situational football was a problem, and I think the reason why we even have this call is because of what's happening with Dwayne Haskins, and Dwayne being a young, talented quarterback.
He's not talented. That's a lie. That's a lie. He's not talented. He's awful.
Tony, this is what
he's awful, bro. Nah, he fumbles at everything. No, he's awful. He's awful. Go watch their games. Here's the situation. You got to go watch their games then. Here's the situation. You got to watch him. He sucks. He sucks, man.
Does what's his name up in New York suck? Like, does everybody just suck after being good players?
Daniel Jones?
No, the Sam Darnold. Like, everybody was saying he was a really good quarterback.
Well, we actually have no idea if he's never been good. So, yeah, he does suck. He hasn't been good. So,
but in the NFL, it's proportionate on who drafts you. A lot of these organizations are dumpster fires.
Okay, some of it, but look, you can't really put Dwayne Haskins to Ron Rivera. That's not a good argument. Yes.
No, it's not.
Yes.
And by the way, he didn't even finish the game. He didn't even finish the game
because he got hurt.
Alex Smith.
He got hurt.
Right.
Dwayne Haskins is sorry, bro. Sorry, I cannot get on the Dwayne. He is awful. I don't. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Worse than Dwayne Haskins. He is terrible. Just because you look better in a football uniform does not make you good at football. He's bad. Now, I think the truth kind of lies in the middle. I think that Greg is right to point out that Ron Rivera did a lot of positive things for this organization and was involved in a lot of positive things. So to be like, well, it's in spite of Ron Rivera rather than because him is a little egregious in some ways. On the other hand, you got to wonder what it would have been like to see Cam Newton play with Matt Rule and Joe Brady.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a second. It could have happened. It could have happened. Sorry. Now, going back to this is that there is one thing, and this, I don't know who the blame falls on. It's going to fall on Ron Rivera largely, as well as the general managing staff, is that and I said this, and I've been consistent when it comes down to this with Cam Newton, is he was such a luxury. He allowed you to get away with stuff. He allowed with you for years to not really have to force that O-line development. He allowed for years for you to miss and not have any talent around him. So the question is that if you would have put Matt Rule, and who knows, Joe Brady would have been like 9 at that time. But if you would have put them, the question is that could there have been an approach taken with Cam that would have been more exciting? I think it could have been, but at the same time, I think Ron Rivera became a worse coach as time went on, which is the strange part.
I think if Cam Newton is on this football team right now, we're one of the best teams in the NFL.
I agree with that.
Think about this offensive line right now, guys. Like, I mean, here's why I say think about coaching in this respect. What has changed on our offensive line other than Okung and getting rid of Trey Turner?
Oh, I don't know. It's like we don't know who our guards are. That's one thing that's changed. I have no idea who our guards
Hey,
are.
whoever they are, shout out to them, man, because they're fucking rock stars.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Let's credit coaching to this because like our offensive starters.
And is Joe Matsko overrated?
Oh, we've been on
our old
offensive
line
coach.
I know.
We already know that Joe Matsko has always been overrated. He's always been just a name for just being a name that people like, so they attach to him. Listen,
how about this?
Right now,
can I ask you? Let's ask the question a different way instead of what it could have been, should have been, and all of this. Why is this offensive line playing so well right now? Let's ask it in a positive form.
I can't really speak to exactly why. I think that, and that's
Paradis. Let's start with Paradis. Paradis has been consistent.
Paradis has been consistent, but again, a lot of this is on coaching, and the reason why I say that specifically on our offensive line is because when you're an offensive lineman, instead of thinking of that like 5 different positions, that whole offensive line is kind of like one big position because so much of what you do is connected to what the guys around you are doing. So I think
that's true, except for we've seen left tackles be fucking horrendous for this organization. And I gotta say this is I've watched even in the game where Greg Little was bad, the left tackle play has not been the shit show it has been in the past. And that alone, I think, is where one player can stand out. Is I think Moten is playing well. Is obviously our left tackle has been, whatever this rotation is at this point, is better than we've had in a long time. And I think Paradis is really anchoring it with those guards. I don't know who the guards are, but they're playing adequately at this point. Are we playing the best teams? I'm not sure. Grady Jarrett, though, is nothing to fool with, and he had one big play today, and that was it.
Yeah, I think our offensive line right now is looking better than it has. That's been the surprise of the season. That was my worry.
Best since 2015. Our offensive line has looked the best it's looked since 2015.
And by the way, like that is another check mark in favor of Matt Rule and this coaching staff after our former coaching staff. Listen, I remember that first year for Ron and Cam. Like, I think that he has, by far, this coaching staff has made the most of their short amount of time, and they have shown far greater potential far earlier than any of our previous coaching staffs.
Shame in the chat room now. There's 73 viewers watching the show, 70 maybe at this moment, only 36 likes. Smack the like button like we just smacked the Falcons around that football field. The Carolina Panthers are on a win streak, baby, and you need to give a thumbs up to win streaks and subscribe to the C3 Panthers podcast. Call into the show. The number's 252-228-5098. Let's go to the next call.
Hey, y'all, what's up? It's Barney from Brooklyn. I'm just calling because first off, I love the podcast. Y'all are great. It's hard being an out-of-market fan and being in Brooklyn. It's great to tune in and listen to y'all, so much love and appreciate everything you're doing. Next up, I don't understand what's going on. This year is not breaking how I thought it would be. We have a receiving core that is good. We have 3 reliable receivers, which is something we haven't had in a really long time. Christian McCaffrey's down. Mike Davis is doing fine. He's doing great. He looks good out there. Teddy Bridgewater he's really not making mistakes at all. The first half today, he was kind of lights out. I mean, his connection with Robby Anderson is really, really turning into something. Special teams is not a liability. We're 6th in the league in kick returns right now. That feels awesome. This is just not what I expected at all this year. I'm so confused. So is it the coaching? Is that what's happening? This team feels like it's got something going on right now. So, I just don't know how to feel. I don't know how to feel because I'm so used to getting my hopes up and then just getting dashed. But I don't know, man. I think it might be the coaching. What do y'all think?
100%.
Yeah,
100%. I think when you have such a young defense, and then you have an offense that is very much, and I think we're starting to get the identity that we were talking about. We weren't sure we don't know who we are as a football team. I think we're starting to get that. And that tough ass football team thing that they talk about, I think, is a big part of it. I think these guys are fighting for each other, and in a season that most people wrote off as being the rebuild season, where don't expect much out of the Carolina Panthers. We're going to rank them on the, probably number 31 on the power rankings, because we just don't know. Even though, there's some promise, there's some potential. We don't know what we have in Matt Rule, all these things. And these guys are coming out and they're showing, right? And Matt Rule said it from the get-go. He said, we're not rebuilding because, you can point to my time at Baylor and Temple all day, but you're not dealing with the highest class. You're having to rebuild a program from top to bottom, not getting the top recruits in the country, because those are going to Alabama, Clemson, all those people, right? And so, but here, guess what? These are the best of the best players. You're not getting people in the NFL that wouldn't have been what considered a great player. So I think
let's just say this is, well, I would say few of these guys would have gone to Temple, but it turns out a lot of them did.
Yeah. And not to mention, when you're in college, you have 100 players on your roster. You have 53 in the pros.
90,
so it's a lot different. You got a lot less talent to choose from, a lot less rotations you can use. So there's a difference. Once again, everybody knows my position on Matt Rule. I'm not saying the guy's doing terrible. Still don't believe he's, I'm not sold on him yet, but I'm not going to say he's being.
Right, let's just say this: is you keep talking down on Matt Rule, and I'm going to keep talking down on Curtis Samuel, because I'm talking
at Curtis Samuel.
What's it, you want to know why? Is because for 4 years or 3 years, all I did is praise and glory be to Curtis Samuel's name. He didn't do shit, and now I'm talking junk about Curtis Samuel, and he's actually starting to play a little bit.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Is that so? I'm keeping it up. I'm not changing my socks. This is baseball's equivalent of not changing my socks. Curtis Samuel is a bum. No, he's made some.
It means to keep them balling out. Yeah,
he's made some big plays for us in the last 2 weeks. I'm excited about that. I've been. And sorry, Brandon Herbert, but I'm going to go back to this, is that if you guys say that Curtis Samuel, the reason he has not been a factor over the last couple of seasons, not having to get the ball, somebody to get him the ball down the field, where is it now, A? And B, Robby Anderson is better at the deep threat than even Curtis Samuel is, and we're still not getting it down there. So I think this is that, again, one of the limitations that we're going to see is that I don't think we're going to see a lot of Curtis Samuel's stat lines that are 3 for 90 yards and a touchdown, unless he's breaking 50 or 60 tackles.
What do you see? What do you think it would take for Matt Rule to get Coach of the Year?
Ooh,
playoffs.
That's a good question. We have to kind of look. I think one is. Go ahead.
Who was it? I want to give credit where credit's due. I think it might have been Jeremy Igo who put this on Twitter. But is that right now, Matt Rule is easily one of already a Coach of the Year candidate, if not the most deserving of it. We are man, stop it. We are a team that has a ton of coaching turnaround. We went from Cam Newton to Teddy Bridgewater. Everything is new. We drafted an entirely new defense. Our defensive backfield is what it is. Like, there was a legitimate case to make before the start of this season that the Panthers did have the right formula to be one of the worst teams in football. And right now we're 3-2. And in the era of COVID, fuck off, bro. That is a lot.
I know. I think he's actually the front runner. I think it's down to 2 teams right now. I'm looking across the entire NFL, and right now I would say, look, it's like Pete Carroll. No, he's not the Coach of the Year because Russell Wilson is the MVP, right? I think it comes down at this moment. There's one 4-0 team who Sean McDermott could be considered Coach of the Year right now. 4-0 for Buffalo. And I think that we are in second place, honestly. Because if you look about it, is like, unless you want to tell me Nagy from Chicago is the guy, nope. Atlanta, nope. Baltimore, they were a strong favorite. So maybe if you wanted to give Baltimore, if they're going to have to keep making noise, you would have to go with, look, Kansas City lost to Las Vegas today. I'm trying to think who's the third front runner. Maybe it's Pete Carroll. Maybe it's homie from Miami. They're doing all right. They're winning today, but they don't have a great record. Are you going to try to tell me
same record as us, they win the day?
Yeah, but are they? Are they on the positive?
I think so. I think they're 2-2 right now. Yeah, I'm not sure. They'll have to check. I could be wrong.
Miami. I think Miami, Cleveland. If they turn it on, Stefanski might get some love. If Cleveland can turn it on, but I gotta say it's Sean McDermott and Matt Rule in the front running for Coach of the Year at this point.
And I would put Matt Rule over McDermott because everyone this year was already predicting the Bills to win the AFC East. Like, this isn't a surprise that the Bills.
Well, if we were predicting them to be good, that's not fair to McDermott.
You can't say because they were expected to be good and the coach does well that he can't win Player of the Coach of the Year.
No, I'm not saying that he can't. I'm saying that's why I put Matt Rule ahead of him because everyone knew that the Bills team was a good roster with the franchise quarterback. Yeah. We did not know any of that about the Carolina Panthers. And
here's a good one. Here's a good one from the chat room, and I don't know why they're not. I guess it's because they play. Do they play Monday night? Why are they not on my Matt LaFleur? Jason Lewis says it. Good call in the chat room. Yeah. Matt LaFleur in Green Bay. So I actually think that the top three are going to be LaFleur, McDermott, and Rule. Not in that order necessarily, but those are my top three coaches right now with the Miami guy, depending on what Miami does with no talent.
Yeah. So what if Carolina ends up finishing with 8 wins this year? Is that even a question? Like, no. Is he even?
We got to hit the playoffs. It's got to be playoffs.
Okay, if he makes the playoffs, I can see that argument. I just think this early in the year, it's too hard to.
I don't know. I feel like if he gets 8 wins, and we're
3-2, we just beat an Atlanta Falcons that have no Julio Jones, and they have.
That's a big deal. We have not talked about that tonight. The Carolina killer Julio Jones did not play.
And we need guys. I got to do an emergency jump off. I'm gonna be with you guys again on Tuesday night. And we'll chop it up. Follow me on Twitter at Cody Lack, CODYLAC. And peace and love, guys.
All right, we're almost done anyway, too. I think we got a couple more calls to go, but keep going with that thought, Greg, as I download this.
Well, I mean, it's just, I was talking to somebody in the chat room about it earlier. I think it was my nemesis in the chat today, Mr. Ting Ginger. He was talking about how, we didn't play with Christian McCaffrey today. Well, that's great. We played with Christian McCaffrey the last 3 years, and they've smashed us. So him not being there didn't make a difference about us winning or losing in the last 3 years. What did make a difference is we played against Julio Jones, who has eaten every time he's played us for the last 3 years. What, he had 250 yards last year, I think, in a game, or 250 plus yards?
Well, and then a couple of years ago, in 2016, he had 300 in one game.
Yeah, so I mean, we don't have that guy playing against us. That does mean something for this win. I like the win. I'm glad we got the win. But let's be realistic about it. We beat an 0-4 team who's blown the biggest leads in the NFL history in the last few weeks. Didn't have their star wide receiver and is totally injured. I mean, it's not that.
But we got to win it.
Points.
We only beat 7 points. Yeah, you got to beat the teams that are on your schedule. Got to beat the teams that are on your schedule.
But you got to be realistic about it too.
We can't play different teams, and you know what? I was not upset when I saw Julio was out.
Oh, I wasn't either. Even though my fantasy teams, I wasn't either.
I'll take it.
I mean, I agree, but I also think that it is fair to look at it from this perspective. We also lost our starting cornerback in the first series. We've also lost our.
Who we've all talked trash about, though. We can't talk trash about Chase Jackson.
When
he leaves.
No, he. What I'm saying is, like, we've praised him to some degree as well. He's played well the last couple of weeks, but nonetheless, and I was saying that he would be going up against Calvin Ridley, who's been known to burn him. But nonetheless, let's take that out.
Yards today.
He is our starter. We had Troy Pride in there as the alternative, and Troy Pride is not going to necessarily stack up to Dante Jackson right now, right? We didn't see much out of that. And then we lost Brian Burns early in the second half. I mean, we lost a lot too.
Yeah, and I would say this is I'm with Darius Jones on this. I am with Darius Jones on this. Is I'm not going to let you do this, Greg, because I'm starting to go because you're reminding that Atlanta's 0-4 and this and that. This is still a division game, Darius Jones points out. That you have a team that the Atlanta Falcons are starting to be so bad right now that not only are the coaches coaching for their jobs, but the players are playing for their jobs, Matt Ryan being one of them. So this ends, we have not won in Atlanta despite anyone's health since 2014.
I'll
That's
go with that
so
narrative.
all of those things is that the Panthers are ahead in the division. Right, they are ahead in the division compared to the Falcons. Yeah, is that we got to see what things come out, but we're keeping up. That's a big deal. And you got to beat the people in the division. This was a game. Look, we were not favored by Vegas in this game, and I don't want to hear it's because it's at home field advantage. I don't believe home field advantage matters in a COVID NFL anymore, unless you're in. Where was it? Oklahoma or Texas yesterday? Georgia? All these games yesterday were packed, the college games. It was insane. I think this is that this was a game that the Falcons were going to try to get right in, and they played hard. They didn't quit out there. Yeah. The Panthers did, and sure, we only put up 23 points, but we didn't have to put up a lot more. We were making the right decisions, grinding the clock down towards the end. So, no, I'm playing up this win. Surprise. I don't want to downplay, but there is an argument too that the teams we have played aren't necessarily as good as we expect them to be. The Cardinals are good, but not great. The Falcons are not good; they're terrible, and the Chargers are good, not great. But the Panthers are good, not great. That's what we are. We're good, not great. And you know what? It's great. We're not bad. Ooh.
I can go with the narrative that you guys are saying right now, and I'm fine with that, with saying let's not downplay the Atlanta win by talking about how bad Atlanta was. That's fine, but everybody's saying that right now. I don't want to hear anybody talk about the loss to Las Vegas and say, well, Las Vegas might be a better team than we thought they were. No, you can't have it both ways. We can do one or the other. So a lot of people in the chat room are talking about that. Well, Las Vegas
think they are better, but that was also week one. Teams can get better.
But see, that's putting the caveat, and you can't do that. You're going to downplay it, like say it's a loss and say it's a win, or add caveats to it to explain why.
Well, we lost a game we could have won.
Let's talk about Atlanta real quick. They've been decimated by injury, 100%. That part we can all agree on. But they also have played. Who have they played this year?
Dallas, Chicago, Carolina, Tampa. Or I don't know if they played Tampa Bay. Dallas, Chicago, Carolina. I know that.
The Falcons.
Green Bay, Dallas, Chicago.
Yeah, Green Bay, Dallas, Chicago, and
so let's talk about something. Green Bay is undefeated. The Bears are undefeated, and they lost to them narrowly. It wasn't like a blowout win. And then the biggest upset for them is going to be the Cowboys. With their loss to them,
who are up
at 1-4
against the awesome Giants.
The Cowboys are still a better team than their record shows right now. They're just, for whatever reason, I have no idea what's wrong with them.
They're back up now.
Yeah, they're back up. Yeah, the Prescott just caught a touchdown pass from CeeDee Lamb. Actually.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah.
But so even when you look at it, the Falcons, I mean, I look at it and there are a lot of problems, and we want to shit on. I don't like the Falcons, and I wish them all the ill will that I possibly can with their season going, possibly winless. That's fine with me, but I don't know that it was necessarily fair to put it all on Dan Quinn, because there were a lot of issues with injuries and things like that. That's really hard to overcome when you're missing 3 of your starting secondary. You're missing 2 of your top wide receivers, or they're extremely limited due to injury. I mean, that's a really hard thing to get over. But
this is not Jimmy Garoppolo playing quarterback. Does he wear number 3 and have blonde curly hair?
Yeah, they must have subbed him in because he's thrown 2 interceptions.
Oh man,
no, that's hard.
Look, I think we are getting better from week to week right now. We couldn't stop the run at all in week 1. And you know what? We were in all these games. The only game that we really weren't in was the Tampa game. And there was even an outside chance to get back in it.
Yeah, we were down by 8 and we were driving. So there was still an opportunity there.
Yeah, I've been happy with this staff. I've been happy with this team. I've been pleased with it, and I told you, Greg, I didn't think we were going to get over 5. Right now, you should be getting excited that I'm going to be sending you $10 soon.
Well, you're actually going to be sending it to me, but I'll tell you we're going to send it later. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sending it to you, and then you can send it where you want to send it.
All right.
He said he's going to have you send it to the.
I didn't really feel like this is the same Atlanta team. I think they quit. But oh well, hey, the thing is, man, you got to take advantage of
I do think this Atlanta team
dog,
quit. It
man.
felt like that.
I mean, not a hurt dog. Kill that. You got to take advantage of
yeah,
of a
you
team
got to put
down,
that dog
and
in the
they did.
kiddie pool and
Now Dan
electrocute
Quinn
it
about
like
to get,
Mike Vick.
about to get fired. I think he is fired. You about to get fired, so peace on. Hopefully we go on our streak and beat them. Same time, man, I hope a lot of, I see a lot of, understandably a lot of fans are happy and, but I just want to say, man, let's take it week by week, man, to this, see how this thing go, man, cause, last year we were at the same record and, we end up having a lose streak, even though I feel like this is a different team, this is a different year and everything. Me, I just like to wait to week 10 through week 17 just to see how things, see how the team holds up. So, hopefully everything goes, hopefully, those boys held up, and stay competing.
Yeah, it's a week to week, man. Hey, we won this week. It might not be the same next week or the week after. I hope it is against the Bears. All of a sudden, we'd be, 5-2? Would that be right? No, 4-2. 4-2. That would be great news. All right, last call of the night. Let's see what they got.
What's up, C3? It's Run DMC Lovato. Bat Daddy, I'm gonna force you right now. I'm gonna turn you into a Matt Rule believer. Okay, right now with this.
Please do it.
Question. All right, you have that Ron Rivera PTSD built into your system, bro. You're just scared to believe. I get it, man. It's okay though. I promise you. All the rest of us we believe in, we want to bring you onto this other side, man. Just get across that depression in your mind of that Ron Rivera PTSD soldier, okay? It's going to be all right. I'll get you some of that medicine for you, bro. But here's the question I want to ask you. With this roster on paper at the beginning of the season, tell me 5 other coaches, or okay, maybe not 5 other coaches. Tell me 10 other coaches who could get this roster to where it's at right now. This roster was bottom 3 in the league on paper, okay? And Matt Rule is coaching it up, developing his players, calling the right plays, teaching this team, teaching the offensive line how to block. He was a former offensive line coach for the Giants, okay? This dude knows how to coach every position on the field. Tell me another coach, 5 other coaches who can get this roster to where it's at. Just tell me. Tell me if you can name 10 other coaches. There's not. Our coach right now is a top. I put him top 5 coach right now.
Wow.
Okay.
That might sound crazy, but
that does sound a little crazy.
Tell me otherwise, man. Like you are afraid of.
You guys were just saying he's coach of the year.
Well, yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean he's top 5 coach, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like I'm ready to I want him to earn his stripes. What Tyler could refine his question a little bit is to say is tell me another coach that can do it with this roster in this type of way. And what I mean by that is the young roster. See, I don't think Ron Rivera can coach this team because he doesn't like playing with young players. I think there's other coaches that, might be able to do something with this roster or might be able to do something but would need more defensive stopping power, need more offensive stopping power. I think this is that what we're seeing is Matt Rule and this staff do well. And the players are playing well. And they can only do so much. The coaching staff can only do so much. The players got to play. And they're playing this year so far through some adversity, I think they got an underdog mentality. And I think it's working. And so overall, I don't think that Ron Rivera with this team would be any good. I do believe that.
Well, I want to know, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but I want to know, not you, the caller was wrong. I want to know where the stats were that we were a bottom 3.
Well, Well,
team this
one,
year.
we didn't have any play. We had like no players that we knew. Like we
But-
didn't
okay,
have
but-
any. Like I would say this is that we didn't have a single Pro Bowler on our defense. There you go.
Okay,
There's one
okay,
stat.
but I
Not
mean,
a single
talking about
Pro Bowler on our
offensive-wise.
defense. All right, the
Offensive-wise,
best
man.
player on your offense is the one guy, Christian McCaffrey. Is that
let's-
outside of him, there's been no Pro Bowls on that offense. Zero.
Okay, at the beginning of the season, I know that Carolina was not ranked 30th, 31st, or 32nd when everybody was talking about Robby Anderson, DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, Teddy Bridgewater. And if you want to compare it to last year's defense, we were one of the worst defenses last year. So if we end up finishing 6-10 or 7-9 this year, guess who could have coached his team the exact
We
same
were
way?
at the damn bottom
Ron Rivera,
of-
because he did it last year. I'm just saying.
Nah, we were at the bottom of power rankings. We were at the bottom of power rankings.
Yeah, we were bottom.
Maybe
like, we
the
were, like,
Jets
bottom
were
three.
below us, and that's it.
Yeah, we even after game 1 against the Raiders, I think we had lost. Like we went down to like 30, 31. I think we were down there on the very low part of it.
And our talent again, and part of it was just not even knowing who we had. Like they're just all new. They're all new.
Yeah.
NFL had us at 29. Jason Lewis says
Starting the season or
yeah.
Okay.
Starting the season, yeah.
Yeah, we were one of the worst defensive teams with no defensive players, right? So,
Well,
like,
that was last year, too,
there's only one way when you're at the bottom, and that's either to stay where you're at or to climb up, and we're climbing up. I'm gonna look, is I'm very impressed with the staff, and I was, and what I mean by that is they had a lot to prove, and they still have a lot to prove. It's not over, but and this is something that Cody said in the past, CK, I mean, is that the stage hasn't looked too big. And that's a good thing. All right. That's the C3 Panthers post-game show. Smack that thumbs up button. Tell a friend about the show. And let's go ahead and pass out our game ball, our dab on them pick. I don't have the music cue, so we're going to go ahead and give it to you. My number, the lowest hanging fruit is the bulldozer himself, Mike Davis. And somebody else better pick Robby Anderson because he's had a ton of catches and yards through 5. But Mike Davis just playing angry and hurting people. He gets my game ball today. Big plays and big time moments. And they weren't easy yards all the time. And he would get 3 or 4 more. We were busting off 8 at a clip at times. Mike Davis, and thanks to this offensive line and his tenacity, gets my game ball today. Who's up next?
I'll do mine. Yeah, I'll do mine. Curtis Samuel, 100%. Like we can dog on his numbers all day, which I don't think he had terrible numbers today, but he has been asked to do more on this team than, I mean, basically he's been asked to be Christian McCaffrey on this team to some effect. He wants you to block, he wants you to receive, they want you to run the ball as well. So, and he has done that pretty effectively. You know, we saw him, like I said, I mean, we could talk about the 3 third-down conversions he had early in the game. And then we could talk about the run, his ability to run up the middle and still get some yards after contact. Is he Mike Davis? No, don't get me wrong, but he was still able to make some progress there. And then secondly, and this is, I think, the most important on this team, is when DJ Moore was sprinting down the sideline, he came up with the one block that was going to make sure he got that touchdown. And that was Curtis Samuel. And that is him fighting. He's fighting all the way down the field to make sure he's blocking. Now, you could sit here and say every wide receiver will do that. I've seen plenty of wide receivers not get the ball and just stop running. Plenty of them. And then, but you see Curtis Samuel doing that. I'm going to give it to Curtis Samuel because I think that he has had a big impact on this game today, even though he may not get a lot of credit for it.
Okay. Tony, I would say Robby Anderson because I know you want somebody to say that, but he really didn't even outplay DJ Moore today. I think they had the same amount of yards and DJ Moore a touchdown. So I'm going to say the offensive line. It's progressively looked better each week. Maybe that has to do with Matt Rule being an offensive line coach, and I hope it is. And if he's improving the line, that's great. That's what I want to see. I want to see prove me wrong. I want to be wrong in the situation. Offensive line looks really good. I was watching a few plays today where Teddy Bridgewater just had all day long to throw the ball, opening up holes for a player like Mike Davis, who is not on the level of Christian McCaffrey, but is putting numbers up there very similar because we have a good offensive line. I think this is what is going to improve our team the most, is getting better in the trenches, defensive and offensive line. Offensive line is crushing it right now. So for me, it's them today. Offensive line played really well.
All right. That's the C3 Panthers post-game show. We're live Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. You can call in from now until then and during the show at 252-228-5098. You can follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. Greg, how can they get up with you?
Oh, man, you can find me at the BatDaddy52 on Twitter, or check out the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network, podcast network. Got a few shows on there. We're doing 7 days a week. You can find me anywhere there. And real quick, I wanted to put a plug in. I'll throw the link for it in the chat on Tuesday. We're doing Geekverse Alliance podcast is doing a 24-hour live stream charity event on the 7th of November, where you can donate. All the proceeds go to the BC Children's Hospital, which is the British Columbia Children's Hospital in Canada. They're trying to raise over $1,500. Last year, they almost made it there. They're going to make it there this year. Like I said, I'll put the link in the chat. If you guys have any, want to donate any kind of money to a good cause, there you go. British Children's or BC Children's Hospital. It's a great cause. So check it out.
And CK.
Yeah, you can find me streaming most nights on Facebook Gaming at Codell Allen, or on Twitter or Instagram. You can find me there as well. Come hang out. We've been playing a lot of this horror game called Phasmophobia. It's pretty fun.
Wednesdays, picking with the professor, scouting the opponent, and we're getting better. Look, the post-game show has been great today. Lots of calls, lots of callers, lots of breakdown, and we did it under 2 hours. We'll see if we can get that long-form podcast on Tuesday under 3. If so, it's a win, 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 and 3 wins in a row makes a streak like the Carolina Panthers. I hope the Atlanta Falcons continue to stink, and until then, keep pounding.
Keep pounding.
Keep pounding.